Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yup, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We got an Inside Edition visual today, man. Did you see that title?
I said,
Oh, yeah, 3 days ago. She suspected her dad was a serial killer and turned him in. Would you do the same, C? I know a lot of people be like, oh, but hold it. Some people wouldn't do it.
Like
especially if they got a close bond.
Is this her book or is this like a journal? Is it a book?
No, it's a book. It's called Raised by Serial Killers. That's deep.
Yeah,
my bad, y'all.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
I was like, are you going to stop anytime?
Because I know it's probably getting on somebody's nerves.
Yeah.
So my bad. Would you have deep to say?
Probably.
Damn. Make sure y'all check out the links in the description box. You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video.
Liking it with a thumbs up. Like, I had concrete evidence.
Yeah.
That my dad may be behind some stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. If you know your dad was a serial cheater, would you tell your mom?
Hell yeah. You ain't about to cheat on my mom. What you think this is? But no,
Hold on. Well, let me ask you. Your dad ain't married to your mom. He's married. Would you tell his wife?
Yeah.
Oh,
I would. My dad was married, and I love my stepmom. And they actually, technically, they still married. They just separated. But whatever. For some years. But yeah.
All right, let's get into it, y'all. Let's check this out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I believe we all make choices. There's so many of us who were brought up in dysfunctional homes. But we come to a certain point in our lives where we make a conscious decision to either live the right way or to live the wrong way. And I believe no matter how you've been raised, because there's so much out there.
April Blasio is talking about the hardest choice she ever had to make. In 2009, she turned her father into police when there was suspicion he was a serial killer. April's father was notorious serial killer Edward Wayne Edwards. Because of the heinous crimes Edwards was concealing, the family moved around the country many times, often in the middle of the night. By the time April was 18, she had lived in 7 different states and countless towns. Edwards, a handyman with a creative eye, was always able to find work wherever he went and was able to provide not just for his family, but as a cover for his crimes.
My dad had always said that we were moving because the bad people were out to get my dad. I always recalled at an early age FBI agents coming and going from our home.
Before Edwards was unmasked as a serial killer, he was already on the FBI's most wanted list for his involvement in robberies and breaking out of prison.
Initially, it was because of the crime spree he went on in the early 60s, or maybe it was even the late 50s. He ended up on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. But I believe it was around 61 or 62, and I believe that there was bank robbery involved in there, maybe stealing a car, breaking out of a prison, maybe even 2 of those. So I think it was a combination of things. When we moved, my dad always said that we were running away from the people that were trying to harm him, or he called them the bad guys. And that was very believable because from the best of my recollections, way back, I mean, kindergarten, 1st grade, I remember FBI agents in and out of our home. They actually brought me trinkets. They brought all my siblings trinkets. And anytime we moved, my dad purposely sought out law enforcement, the local police, local sheriff, maybe state troopers. And he was saying the reason that we had to run was because there was, he had turned people in for doing crimes, and those people were after him. My dad never hid from us that he at one time was on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. We knew about his book. When he would go on speaking tours, he would take us with him. So
He was on the FBI's list of the 10 most wanted criminals. He was a holder man, a bank robber, a dangerous character. He spent 14 years in 5 jails. Now he's a writer, a respected citizen, and the head of a family.
That was believable. Every time I tell people that I moved every 6 months to a year, they're like, "Oh, were you a military brat?" You know, as kids do, you just adapt. It really never devastated me too much until I got into my high school years. And I moved, because at that time during my high school years, I was actually in a school district that I had been in for about 4 years, developed a friendship, bases, was really involved in their church, and then we moved a couple days before my senior year started, and that was devastating.
April, the oldest of 5, says she was always Daddy's girl until she started getting older and began questioning things.
I had a lot of fun with my dad, and I was close to my dad. When I started to get a little bit older, I want to say, when do I want to say the blinders started lifting? Probably definitely around 6th grade. And that was when we lived in Wisconsin for just a few months, and he actually, that's where he committed the sweetheart murders.
The sweetheart murders were the killings of 2 19-year-olds.
That is
what
crazy.
the fuck?
Did we know about that?
From they talked about it on Criminal Minds. Yes, you don't remember Criminal Minds?
No. I remember this. I'm saying, like, did I know, like, a little bit more details as to, like, who was behind it? Because, you know, normally, like, if I hear someone's name, like, it'll, like, click. Like, oh, I've heard, but...
I swear, didn't Criminal Minds do an episode on there? Yeah. 2 cases. Yeah, season 4, episode 17. I swear I remember that one.
Okay.
Damn, that's crazy.
Committed the sweetheart murders.
The sweetheart murders were the killings of 2 19-year-old Wisconsin lovers, Kelly Drew and Timothy Hack. The couple had disappeared from a wedding reception in August 1980.
I think that's when the blinders started to lift, and then definitely a year later, when I realized he burnt down another house and had my brothers help him, then the blinders were totally gone. And in between, and then during that year period, there was a lot of other stuff that happened, that I just started questioning things. I started to realize that, you know what, I think it's really uncommon that every place that I live, people come up missing or come up murdered.
Yeah.
And, you know, because by that time I'm starting I'm not so much a child anymore, and abuse was always there, but now I started questioning things beyond that. Mentally, a lot of mental games. Physically, he was very abusive physically. There was marks on me all the time. Many times I should have went to the hospital. He did put my mom in the hospital several times. Broke her jaw a couple times, stabbed her in the hand where she needed to have.
I wonder this 18 minutes, my bad. I didn't even know it was this long when I clicked. I thought it was 8 minutes. I wonder, did her mom ever know?
I wonder if she'll touch on it, but that is a good question.
Surgery on her hand. It was nothing for my dad to beat us with 2x4s, belts, pipes, you know, anything he could get his hands on. His fist, he was very strong. It was not, I mean, he's thrown me across the room multiple times. His, you know, hitting, you know, punching us with his fist, that was very common. It was a lot different, and my mom was always a wallflower, and I'm not saying that in any disrespect. She was a hard worker, and she was very willing to help people, but I think because she was just so beaten down in the mind games that my dad played, it was just easier and I think the way for her to survive was to block it out and turn it off. And nowadays, there's all kinds of resources out there for battered women or women with multiple children to escape that. Back then, there really wasn't that much. And then we moved around so much. He kept us, very secluded because we moved around so much.
While April began questioning her circumstances, she eventually moved out of the house, lived on her own, and got married when she was about 21 years old. Her suspicions of her dad rose in 1996 when a friend of her youngest brother, a teen named Danny Boy, went missing. Danny Boy, who Edward Wayne Edwards treated as a child of his own, even took the Edwards last name. The patriarch told the teen to join the army and got him to sign for the maximum military life insurance of $200,000, with Edwards himself as the beneficiary. When Danny Boy's body was found in a shallow grave near Edwards' house, the family abruptly relocated from Ohio to Arizona. Danny Boy had been shot in the head, but no arrests were made. In 2009, during a restless night battling her childhood trauma, April called police in an event that altered her life and her family's lives forever.
Many years in the process, because in 1996, after Danny Boy came up missing, and the way that my dad called me and would talk to me on the phone, I knew my dad committed that murder. I just didn't know how to prove it. And I had already distanced myself from my dad, and I was so focused. In 96, my babies were born in 91, 93, and 94. So I was very much a young mom. I was focusing on raising my family. I didn't want to be associated with that lifestyle and suppressed a lot. And then it wasn't until 2000 and maybe 6-ish, somewhere around that, 2007, as my children were becoming teenagers or, past, preteens or in the teenage years, I started thinking about the things that could happen to them. I started thinking about almost every place that we live, these young adults came up missing or they were found murdered. And I knew that wasn't just coincidence. I just had a feeling my dad was behind it. So I started going on the internet and I would type in, one night I would type in Brighton, Colorado, or Ocala, Florida, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, just typing in different places, trying to find any cold cases that lined up with the time frame that we lived there. And there was nothing on the internet. And come to find out, the reason there wasn't was because those cases were so cold. There wasn't good records at the time. They didn't bring it up to the public. And finally, in 2000, I believe it was in April of 2009, I was in bed. And once again, I was thinking about my children. And the Watertown, Wisconsin came to my memory. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did that town not come to me before? Because it was very prominent in my mind growing up. And knowing that 2 people had disappeared, because my dad always talked about it. And then in addition to that, we left in the middle of the night one time, during that time. We were packing in the middle of the night. We ended up leaving during the day, but we had been packing all night. And so then I typed in Watertown, Wisconsin, and it just so happened that the state of Wisconsin had opened up the Sweetheart murders, the cold case, because they had DNA evidence. And it had been on like a late night show. There was a lot of news coverage, and that all was on the internet. And as I started reading it, the memories just started coming back to me and clicking. I'm like, yes, I remember this. I remember the campground. I remember the dance hall. And then I just felt in my gut that my dad had committed those murders. And so that led me to calling Detective Garcia in April of 2009. And I thought I was going to be leaving a message because it was in the evening, and I believe it was a weekend. So I really thought I was going to be leaving a message, but he happened to be in his office. And so when he actually picked up the phone, I was like, my name is April Palacio. I was stumbling and stuttering, and then I said, I think I have some information for you, or I forget now how I said. I think I have some information for you. You might think I'm crazy, or I might be sending you on a wild goose chase, something like that. I can't remember the exact words now, but and then he's like, well, tell me what you got, and I started talking to him, and what I didn't know at the time is that he actually thought I was a little crazy, which I'm not saying that I'm not, but he did think I was just a disgruntled family member trying to get their dad in trouble. But the more that I talked and the more that I told him about my dad, he's pulling things up on his computer. He's pulling up about my dad. He saw that my dad, was on the FBI's Timonis. Matter of fact, I might have told him that. I believe I told him that. And I told him about my dad's book. And then I'm telling him some other things. And I'm just giving him really detailed information. And then he's pulling up the case files. And here my dad's name is mentioned. And so now he's like, okay, maybe this woman really knows what she's talking about. So he took all my information. Meanwhile, he ordered my dad's book. He went to the place where I told him that we lived. He questioned the people there. And everything that I had told him about the house, from the stained glass window to the spiral staircase, everything matched up. And he's like, man, this everything that she says is matching up. And then he finally called me, and about a month later. And by that time, I thought, oh my gosh, what a horrible person am I? Because I hadn't heard from him, so I'm thinking, nothing had come of it. And so then I eventually get a call in the evening, and he asked me, or it was actually in the afternoon, asked me if he could come out and see me, and if I would, to interview me, and if I would be willing to give a DNA sample. And then I was like, wow. It was scary. I thought about everything. I thought about, what is my family going to think? What if I'm wrong? What a horrible person I am. What a horrible daughter I am. But what outweighed all of that was that I couldn't help but think about the victims, the family of the victims, and then knowing that my children were at the approximate age that these young adults came up missing, that as a parent, if something were to ever happen to one of my children, that I would want to know. Right. And I just thought that was more important, that outweighed any consequences of me turning my dad in. And, that strong sense of right and wrong. And, it was hard. It's still hard to this day. But everyone has hard decisions to make in life. I'm not the exception. It's just a choice that I made.
After April submitted a DNA sample, DNA confirmed that her father was guilty of the Wisconsin sweetheart murders. Upon his arrest, he confessed to other murders and even begged for the death penalty. I
know every crime that he did admit to, the murders that he did admit to, I remember him talking about them. Especially in even in 96, when I didn't even live in the home anymore. He would call me up and intentionally talk about Danny missing. What? And I definitely didn't want to hear about it in 96. And so I remember my dad, talking about other crimes, other murders, even though he didn't admit to those, I don't even think he was even asked about some of them. Yeah. And the ones that he admitted to, he had an agenda for doing it. He wanted to be extradited back to Ohio. And the two that he admitted to in Norton, he thought the death penalty was in play at that time, and it wasn't. So then he turned around and admitted to another murder in Ohio that at that time frame, the death penalty was in effect. So, and I have papers, I have letters where he had written, and he reached out to those authorities. It wasn't the authorities reaching out to him.
The 75-year-old Edwards, who was in poor health, confessed to the 5 murders, including Danny Boy. In 2010, he was tried for the murders of Tim Hack and Kelly Drew, which happened in 1977 in Concord, Wisconsin. And in 1980, he was tried for the murders of Billy Levaco and Judith Straub in Norton, Ohio, which he was given life sentences for. He pled guilty to all those cases. In 2011, he pled guilty to the murder of Danny Boy in Kentucky, which he was given the death penalty. Shortly after being sentenced to death, Edwards died in prison of natural causes at age 77.
I never talked to my dad again. He did reach out to me, and when he reached out to me, it was just through the mail. He sent me an envelope that had 2 pieces of scrap paper in it. And they were literally scrap paper. They had ripped edges. And on one of them, it was his signature. And on the other piece, it says, hold on to this because it's going to be worth a lot of money someday.
Wow.
And my reaction was, I ripped the pieces up and I threw them in the trash. There are times that I wish I would have talked to my dad, but no sooner do I say that than I think, you know what? I'm glad I didn't, because he would have been trying to play mental games with me. And he and I played this cat and mouse game all the time. Or I should say, he wanted to play this cat and mouse game, and I just refused to participate. Mm-hmm. He always tried to play these mental games, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't participate in it. And then that took the fun out of it for him. And what I'm talking about mental games is like when he would call me up and talk about the disappearance of Danny and all this evidence that he happened to come across and how he's helping the investigation. And I wouldn't ask questions. I wouldn't even encourage him to talk. I would purposely keep changing the subject. And it infuriated him. But, I didn't want to play his games. And then as hearing that my dad passed, that was very much a blessing in disguise.
April has told her story in the bestseller, Raised by a Serial Killer.
She said at one point that she believed her brothers helped him?
Well, she said he had her brothers help him burn a house.
Oh, burn a house, yeah. You're right. But I wonder how they helped them with anything else.
Probably not. Because she didn't say their ages at the time that he helped them burn the house. I'm just going to say no.
Now divorced and living on her own, April says she feels no guilt about calling authorities on her father.
I'm not a victim. I've never said I'm a victim. And I don't like to be referred to as a victim. I correct anyone who uses, there's two things that people have used. They'll label me as a victim and they'll label me as a hero. And I'm neither. I'm not a victim and I'm not a hero. I just made that decision to call because I thought it was the right thing to do.
Wow.
That's crazy. I wonder, do she ever wish she had called earlier or sooner? You know what I'm saying? When he was possibly in the 90s.
Oh, I was reading this right here. It says in his autobiography, Edward wrote that he grew up in an orphanage and that he was mistreated both physically and emotionally by the nuns there.
And I'll say
he used the other one. He used this word, but I just said mistreated.
Yeah, for YouTube purposes.
Yeah.
And I'll also say this, right? Mm-hmm. But that is also what type of mistreatment? Because some people exaggerate with their.
I always be,
but not trying to downplay it or anything but there are levels of mistreatment.
Yeah, true. I just always like when people there are levels and stuff, but I feel like sometimes people use it as an excuse to hurt other people. Yeah, and that's where I'm just like, no,
because his mistreatment could have been he got a stern talking to.
Yeah,
and he feels as though he's been mistreated, while others' mistreatment could be some of the most, you know what I'm saying, what he was doing to his kids.
This is crazy. Yeah, I'm just like, my mind's still kind of like.
I was looking through it. So it says the first murders of Edwards, for which Edwards was convicted of, which is Billy Lavaco, and his girlfriend Judith, in Ohio. And then I saw something else.
I'm talking about this right here?
No. It was something else. Other possible murders. They believe he also murdered Beverly Allen and Larry Payton in Portland. 2 men were arrested and in prison for these murders, but released from prison early. Authorities maintained that the correct persons were prosecuted. So I guess he was living in Portland around the same time. But his MO seems to be couples. Mm-hmm. And so In March, detectives in the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, who was in charge of the Sweetheart murder case, described how the murders of Hack and Drew were solved following a tip of Edward's daughter. Garcia said he was pretty confident there are at least 5 to 7 more murders. Edwards committed murders committed, and who knows beyond that. He gave a list of 15 confirmed and suspected victims, adding that he was less sure Edwards was involved in the Zodiac killings, because the Zodiac killings are very similar as well, as far as the couples. But I wonder how many victims. They speculated that Edwards was responsible for several high-profile cases, including the Zodiac killings in the Bay Area of California and the murder of John Bonet. However, his claims have proven highly controversial. John Bonet Ramsey joint, I don't think so.
Yeah,
it doesn't fit his motive. I mean, his MO.
Yeah,
it doesn't fit like what he typically likes to do as far as the couples. But the Zodiac killings typically involve couples, right?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah,
and he played. He loves, like she said, he likes to play that back and forth game, and he was very braggadocious. So he could have been the Zodiac killer. You don't know, because nobody knows who the Zodiac killer is.
When did those start? What year did like all of those?
1968 through 1969. Killed 5, 37 claimed, 2 confirmed. Weapons, a 9mm pistol, 2 different weapons, and it just happened in the span.
And knife.
You said what?
And knife.
And knife. But it's happened through a span of crimes through 1968 through 69, and like I would only need to know from her, because she didn't say a lot. Say it.
Yeah.
Where all did y'all stay?
Yeah.
Like the several states. Because it do seem like they bounced all around the whole country.
Yeah.
It wasn't just in one particular area. He's from Ohio, and he wants to go back to his home state. That's the reason why he wanted to confess to the Ohio ones, because he wanted to die in his home state.
That was a lot. But most definitely, like going back to the beginning, even though I answered yes, I would. Yeah, I would. Like, I would, because...
Damn, it's somebody you can deep dive on for real, because I've never heard about him before. I never heard his name.
I don't think I have either. Edward Edwards.
And he was already at the end of his lifespan, bro. So he
but it was born, Charles.
What? Charles Wayne Murray. But also, I guess he changed his name to Edward Wayne Edwards.
Yeah.
But he was born Charles Wayne Murray.
And that's also with him being born in and changing his name to that. Also, like, especially committing these crimes and moving everywhere. It's kind of hard to, like, keep track of. And
then he can constantly tell people, oh, my name this, and you'll never know who he is.
That's crazy, yeah.
But y'all spam us up, man. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comments down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We are.
Ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partner.